Okay, I'm going to send out a text to students from the Black Business School and let the students know that we're live also answering questions. So here we go. Okay. All right. Now we are good. We are good. Okay, so right now the stock market's having a good week, or it looks like there's a lot of good potential good news on the horizon, but there are some risk factors out there related to what's going on with is being sued in a major antitrust lawsuit. I want to do a check to see how that's affecting the stock price because I don't really have a lot of faith that the federal government is real interested in prosecuting or pushing forward with antitrust suits. They would have to do something really dramatic to make me believe that they actually care about violations of antitrust law. But this could be a big deal for Google. Let me see what Google stock is doing today. Google stock is down a little bit, 0.1% over the last 5 days. I'll share my screen with you guys so you can see it. Let's see here. Okay. So you see here, it's definitely in the red. I mean, this week it's had some dips, but over the month it's green. A lot of stocks are green right now. I mean, a lot of stocks are making money right now. The news has been very favorable, and the market's been extremely optimistic. So when you have that kind of optimism, um, investors have to get hit over the head pretty hard before they, lose their confidence. And so, in a way, it's funny. It reminds me of playing, when I would play in poker games. I'm not a gambler, but I like poker. Poker is a great game of math, strategy, and psychology. And in poker, you have these people. They call them donkeys, and donkeys are people that are not that good, but they think that they're good, and they don't fold. They don't fold when you scare them. Like you can't like they say. There's a saying that says you can't bluff a donkey, meaning that you can't scare them into folding their hand. They're gonna ride it all the way through because they think they can get lucky. Before we and celebrate the freedom month. So with a donkey, the way you will play against a donkey is you have to kind of really, really drill them pretty hard before they eventually figure out, like, okay, maybe I shouldn't hold my hand all the way till the end. So the stock market is, unfortunately, it's kind of filled with a lot of donkeys right now. I think a lot of the retail traders from Robinhood that are coming in now are just really stubborn. Like, I mean, they're just really extremely ambitiously over optimistic. I think that some of them are going to get hit upside the head pretty hard with a market crash or whatever the case may be. But it's going to take time before they actually learn that you can't just keep buying stock at any price forever and ever and ever. At some point, the market's going to teach you that there's a reason why you have to think through your financial decisions. So I guess my point is to say, don't be a donkey. Like, kind of know that whatever goes up can come down. And when times are good, that's the time you should spend preparing for when times go bad. So don't get yourself caught in a bad situation like that. Also, I want to mention to you guys may or may not know this, but we have a really great initiative for Black-owned businesses where we're bringing people together to support Black businesses. Every Monday night, we do a show called Life's a Pitch. And in Life's a Pitch, what we do is we invite students from the Black Business School to pitch their businesses in 90 seconds on video. And we do it in front of a live audience, and thousands of people are watching. Black people, these are intelligent Black people who want to support Black-owned businesses. And these businesses get a lot of support. They also get a lot of feedback, and in terms of things they can do better. But then in addition to that, you get customers out of it too. So if you're interested in being on an episode of Life's a Pitch, we do it every Monday night at 8 p.m. on financialjuneteenth.tv.com. Financialjuneteenth.tv.com is one of our financial platforms. And basically, if you go to financialjuneteenth.tv.com every Monday night at 8 o'clock, that's when the show happens. But then also, if you want to be considered for an episode, get on our email list. Go to allblackeconomics.com. If you go to allblackeconomics.com, you'll get a free e-copy of my book, and I'll email you when we're looking for new pitches, new businesses to submit their pitches. We can't get everybody in there, but we can get a lot of people in there, and a lot of business owners that have been on the show so far have seen an uptick in their customer base as a result. So, all right, so let me hop in and answer some questions here. George says, if I'm not able to continue purchasing stock, can I expect any future growth? Well, the market historically, George, has grown. Historically, the stock market has been the best place to build wealth in America for the most part. Real estate's been very, very good, of course. And I think real estate should be added so you can have a balanced financial diet. But the stock market has been really, just extraordinary. And I'm not talking about for the last, 6 months or 2 weeks. I'm talking about for the last 100 years. So anybody, like if you had a great grandparent who just, left you some stock or bought some shares, in 1942 and didn't sell them, in some cases, you could be close to being a millionaire right now. So what I want you to do is to think about the lost opportunity of the last 50 years, but then think about the new opportunities for the next 50 years. You are the ancestors, you are the grandparents. So the question becomes, what are you going to do now? Are you going to just sit there and do nothing and let your great grandchildren and your descendants have nothing? So they're stuck in financial slavery, or are you going to go ahead and, take the plunge, make some moves? Even little moves grow into big moves. The reason we don't make little moves is because we think little moves are always going to be little. But that's like saying that a baby is always going to be a baby. Remember, LeBron James is 6'8", 250 pounds, but there was a time where he was small enough that you could hold him in both hands, right? So a baby is not always going to be a baby. Babies grow into full-grown men and full-grown women. So baby businesses grow into full-grown businesses. Baby portfolios grow into full-grown portfolios. But the baby will never grow if you never feed the baby, or the baby will never grow if you never have the baby. The seed will never grow if you never plant the seed. So what I want you to do is take the pressure off yourself. Stop thinking that you got to be a baller by next week. Stop thinking that you got to have 10 million in the bank for you to actually invest. Stop thinking that you have to have money to make money. No, you have to invest money to make money. And it doesn't require to simply invest the amount of money that human beings spend on fast food. If you simply invest the amount of money that people literally spend on fast food, and you did that consistently over a 20 or 30 year period, you would be in the top 20% of Americans in terms of wealth level. That whole wealth gap between whites and blacks, that gap that they say can never be overcome no matter what, that gap disappears because somebody pointed this out to me the other day. They were talking about the racial wealth gap, this big thing that people always talk about. And it was a really interesting, very simple yet powerful insight that led me to a really amazing revelation. And he said, okay, so the wealth gap is 171,000 for white people, white families. This is not individual, this is family. So white families have 171,000 in wealth. Black families have about 17. He said 171,000 in net worth for a family is not that big of a deal. It's not that hard to do. A person who simply buys a house for, $150,000 over a 10, 20-year period, the growth in the value of that house is probably going to take the value up to 300,000. That's 150 right there. A person who invests according to our $5 a day investment plan, which I'll actually give you guys a link in case you haven't got my $5 a day investment ebook. It's totally free. I'm gonna share it with you guys totally free. I'm putting it in the chat right now. A person who simply does the $5 a day investment plan, within 20 years, they got well over $100,000 in liquid assets. $5 a day, that's less than the amount. You can't even go to Popeye's Chicken and get a value meal for $5 a day, right? So now if you did the Popeye's Chicken plan, I actually literally compared it to the actual cost of a Popeye's Chicken sandwich, fries, and a drink. Because we know, a lot of people will say black people can't invest, but everybody knows black people can afford Popeye's Chicken. Give me a yes in the chat if you know what I'm talking about. So I said, let's do the Popeye's Chicken plan. And when I did that for the students, they were astonished by how much wealth you would have. if you just randomly, and I'm not talking about being a stock picking expert. I'm not talking about knowing the right stock to pick at the right time. I'm talking about if somebody literally randomly pick stocks and put in the amount of money that it would cost to buy a Popeye's chicken value meal and did that every day, $8.50 a day, and did that consistently for 20 years, that person would have more wealth than the average white person in America, or it would be very close. Or the scratch that, the average white family. Like you as an individual would have more wealth than an entire family of white people, right? So what I want us to kind of do, because you guys know I like to infuse race in our economic conversations, because I believe that that the economic challenges are what we must overcome racially in order to succeed. I don't really get into a lot of the horizontal issues. The whether or not boys and girls should be using the same bathroom, or if gay people should be married. I don't care if they get married. I mean, if you want to get married, get married. You can marry a tree for all I care. I get into economics because economics determines what value system you are allowed to follow. So just be really important, or sorry, just remember how important that is. Just follow the economics. Just do the basic economic things. And don't think that you can't overcome the racial wealth gap by yourself, on your own, in your house, in your family. If you do the things that we talk about, if you do even 1/10 of what we talk about in these Q&As in the Black Business School, that's why the Black Business School is one of the best institutions on earth. That's charging you $50,000 a year. I'll put us up against Harvard and Yale. That's going to charge you $80,000 a year. We know what we're doing. My PhD is very real. We have experts that are in here that can teach you things that you're not going to learn in those spaces. And one thing I want to teach you about the racial wealth gap is you can't just leave it up to the politicians. The politicians are not the ones who are going to solve the racial wealth gap. It's going to be you. It's going to be you making a decision that you are just not going to settle for this whole like second-class citizenship, that you're going to make decisions now and consistently plant your seeds so that your wealth will grow over time and you'll leave something for your children. So give me a yes in the chat if you agree. I'm going to take a sip of my coffee while you put a yes in the chat. And by the way, if you haven't subscribed yet, make sure you subscribe. We have a couple of financial platforms. I want to make sure you guys know about that. We have financialjuneteenth.tv.com. Some of you may be watching from Financial Juneteenth TV. Make sure you subscribe there. That platform tends to have deeper, richer, more evergreen content. And we have another platform called the Black Financial Channel, theblackfinancialchannel.com. That's more daily financial news and commentary, hard hitting. I literally put content on the Black Financial Channel about 5-6 times a day, because what we do is we give you regular, consistent updates on what's happening in the markets so that you can consistently sort of follow what's going on. So it's kind of like a Black version of CNBC. We're not just an educational platform. We are a media outlet. So because we know, because in our research, we've determined that controlling media is critically important for Black people. So, for example, I had a really productive meeting with the folks from Push Black. I don't know if you guys know about Push Black. You probably do. Push Black has millions of subscribers all around the globe. And with Push Black, I'm going to do a financial podcast for Push Black. So I guess I'm going to kind of be their version of Dave Ramsey, except smarter, because Dave ain't got a PhD. I have a PhD. I've taught Dave Ramsey's in my life. And anyway, one of the things we were discussing is that, once you've gathered and you've pulled together millions of Black people, you then have the ability to do anything that white people do. You can build a movie industry out of that. I said, you guys have made films before. There are thousands of Black filmmakers, directors, producers, and writers, and actors and actresses out here. And we've made movies. We have Boyce Watkins Films. So we've made several films that have been seen by millions of people. I said, Black people can do this. Like we can build industry. Like it's not theoretical. Like it's happening. Like it's real. It's here, right? It's there. So what we need is, I would love for you guys to internalize that and to know that it's happening, and to help and to just join me in the belief that this is as real as I say it is. I wouldn't lie to you. And it becomes realer the more anything. I'm not going to beg you to do anything. I'm not going to harass you into doing anything. But I'm going to ask you, When you see things that we have going on, if you can just hit that subscribe button. If you follow something, you see something you like, a product that somebody in the platform is offering, consider it. Just think about it. If you have the link to a really good video that we do, or a film, or whatever it is that we're doing, share it on your social media. Those things really matter in terms of making a difference. Like, we've already pulled together millions of Black folks. We're going to pull together millions more, and we're really getting this done. And the last piece I'll throw in here is that one book that I've recommended for the students in the Black Business School is this book that I read that I loved. It was so great. It was called How the Jews Invented Hollywood. This is not anti-Semitic. This is actually, congratulatory, or actually in honor of what the Jewish community accomplished when a group of Eastern European Jews who were being heavily discriminated against, just like a lot like what we're dealing with. Not quite the same thing, right? Our journey is different from their journey, but these Eastern European Jews who are kind of on the lower class of Jews, like even other Jews discriminated against Eastern European Jews. They had no power, no wealth. They couldn't get jobs. Their kids couldn't even go to the same schools. So they just took it upon themselves to build their own schools. They also built Hollywood out of this. So out of this decision to build their own came Universal Studios, MGM. The Warner Brothers started Warner Brothers Studios when the Warner family in Ohio sold the family horse for $1,000 and started showing moving pictures inside a barn. Right? You think your business is bootleg. You think your business is garbage. They started Warner Brothers Studios. Warner Brothers probably owns a lot of Black shows and Black films that you love. Like, I think Warner Brothers owns things like the show Living Single. You ever notice wonder why Living Single and Different World don't ever come back on the air? It's because Warner Brothers owns it. And they're like, yeah, you can love the show, but it's ours. We can decide if we want to bring it out or shelve it. We're going to shelve it, right? That's why I know cast members from A Different World. Darryl Bell is a very good friend of mine. Darryl Bell played Ron. He was Dwayne Wayne's best friend. He said that they would love to bring it back, but it's not owned by Black people, right? So that blueprint is part of the blueprint in terms of what our culture is in the Black Business School and what we're doing right now. So all this is happening right here before your eyes. So when Tariq Nasheed puts out Hidden Colors, and it makes $10 million, that's the beginning of the blockbuster film industry. Like, there are tons and tons of people that are participating in this, right? So don't underestimate the significance of it, because what you're seeing is the beginnings of a multi-billion, multi-trillion-dollar industry. That's just how things started for the Jewish community 80, 100 years ago. That's what's happening for you guys right now. Okay, so let me move on. And by the way, Tariq Nasheed is actually going to join us at the All Black National Convention this weekend. We're going to have a lot of great people, a lot of experts, and Vicky Dillard and Lamar Tyler, and just these really great people that are coming through. So if you'd like to join us, go to allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. Of course, it's going to be virtual because of COVID and everything. We're going to do physical next year. Next year it starts Friday. You can go to allblacknationalconvention.com. What is the name of your real estate investing course? We have a great program run by Julian Gordon. It's called the Black REI Group, the Black Real Estate Investment Group. The URL is theblackreigroup.com, THE, that's theblackreigroup.com. And I think you can still get a discount on it. Julian is extraordinary because Julian's actually leading a coalition of Black investors that have raised $3 million to go buy a big chunk of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. They identified a bunch of property, and he's probably looking for more investors. So, and also Julian is our dean of real estate in the Black Business School. So he's not just a guy who can tell you the theory. He's the guy that's actually doing it. I encourage you to go take a look. It's theblackreigroup.com, THE. All right. By the way, if you're on Financial Juneteenth TV or anywhere else, please hit the thumbs up button. Hit the thumbs up button, please, if you could. Let's see. Somebody asked, Carmisha's asking, do you recommend investing in index funds? I love index funds because index funds give you instant diversification. That's a very good thing. Diversification is very important. And why do you want to diversify? Well, because you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket. That's a good way to go broke. Whenever I hear about an athlete that goes broke, that says something like Quentin Portis, used to play for the Washington Redskins, and he was really upset. He wanted to beat up and murder his stockbroker. He was sitting outside his investment advisor's office with a gun, and his friend had to talk him out of going inside his investment advisor's office and killing him. Whenever I hear a story about that, and the reason he was thinking about killing his investment advisor is because he gave him $10 million and it went down to zero. It just kind of disappeared. And whenever I hear a story like that, that tells me right there that they probably invested wrong. Obviously, right? Now, losing money is not a crime. A lot of investments lose money. But when you lose all your money, that's because somebody probably did. So if you have a bunch of money and you're thinking about trying to invest, and somebody says, "Oh yeah, just put your whole life savings in your cousin Willie's liquor store," well, I mean, that's when you get those Raisin in the Sun type stories. Remember Raisin in the Sun, where he gave the money to Willie for the liquor store, and Willie ran off with the money. Well, these stories happen all the time. So just keep that in mind. Have you checked out the Earn Your Leisure guys? Yeah, I know those guys. I love them. They're very smart, very good people. And they're part of the culture. The goal is, we need thousands and thousands of our people that are constantly talking about investing, and then eventually millions of people that are investing, because we have what in the Black Business School, we have what we call Project 2070. Project 2070 is that by the year 2070, we believe that Black people can be the most financially intelligent group of people on the planet, because what we have to do is inject that into the culture. That must be injected into the culture. So right now, we are right on target to achieve our goal. We're probably going to achieve the goal sooner than 2070, actually. Because one of the goals was, I said, if I can get the rappers to start rapping about wealth, if I can get the rappers to rap about buying the block, if I can get the rappers to rap about, investing and owning assets, then that's going to be huge, because hip hop determines a lot of our culture. When they started rapping about ratchet stuff, people started doing ratchet stuff. People dress like the rappers. They talk like the rappers. They look up to the rappers. The rappers have 10 million, 20 million followers on Instagram. So when people hear about Nas, the fact that Nas makes most of his money from investing, not from rapping, well, they see, I don't know, maybe even, 50 Cent and Ice Cube. I guess they've gotten political in their own way. It's making people kind of look around and say, okay, maybe there's another way. Maybe there are opportunities. I've been working a lot with Ice Cube recently on some political stuff, and it's a little bit controversial. Jay-Z, 444. I was really proud of Jay-Z for putting out that album, because I had a 2-hour conversation in 2014 with Beyonce's road manager. And he was trying to convince me that Jay-Z and Beyonce really care about Black people, and that they really care about, like the Black community. And I said, well, if they're not talking about it in their music, then who cares what they feel in their heart? It's not what you believe. It's not what you want to happen. It's what you're actually making happen. If I say I'm a good person, but then I go out and kill 10 people, I'm not a good person. I'm a murderer. Right. And so that was my point. And so later on, I saw them really step their game up. I was super impressed. And that was a far cry from where we were before. I remember 2013 when I was working with a guy by the name of Russell Simmons on a mass incarceration campaign to try to get some of these brothers out of jail, and get the Obama administration to change their mass incarceration policy. A lot of people signed. I wrote a letter to President Obama asking him to change his policy, and they wouldn't do it. They were really fighting back. The Democratic Party, I've lost a lot of faith in the Democratic Party, to be honest with you. I don't believe that they really care about Black people that much. I think that they need Black people, but they don't like us that much. Anyway, I wrote this letter, and they wouldn't do anything. They wouldn't respond. And Russell, what we did was we got a bunch of people to sign the letter. So Russell got a lot of celebrities to sign it. I got a lot of scholars to sign it. So we would have both, right? We'd have the power of celebrity, the credibility of scholarship. So Michelle Alexander, who wrote The New Jim Crow, a lot of smart people signed it. And then he also got the celebrities. Will and Jada signed it, and a lot of rappers, even guys like Rick Ross and Lil Wayne signed it, along with Chris Rock and Jamie Foxx and Kerry Washington. Like I remember seeing those names on the list. And so anyway, I asked him, I said, so what about Jay-Z and Beyonce? And I remember he said, man, I can't get them to do anything. I can't get Jay to do nothing, and that was 2013, right? So you fast forward a few years later, 5 years later, he does 444, which I thought was excellent. He did a song about Black entrepreneurs, which I thought was great. And so I don't know if this is just a coincidence or whether the chicken laid the egg or the egg laid the chicken. Either way, what's happening is you're seeing an awareness, you're seeing an economic consciousness. And that's very important. Economic consciousness is connected to another concept that we only use in the Black Business School called economic maturity. Economic maturity kind of says Black people collectively, when it comes to money and wealth, we want to keep pushing ourselves to grow up. You know, growing on the same. You say, what are you going to do with your money? What's he going to say? You know, is he going to say, well, you know, I got to pay the utility bills, and then after that, I got to go and invest in my 401k? Like, you think a 5-year-old is going to say that if you give him $40? No, a 5-year-old is going to want to go buy candy. He's going to go buy shoes or clothes or a toy. There you go. Thank you, Riley. A toy or whatever, right? And so a lot of us, unfortunately, many of us, because economic intelligence and literacy is not taught in school, we become economically immature as adults. You have a lot of economic children that are pretending to be adults, you know, full-grown men, full-grown women who still spend money like a child. Like, I have money now, my toys are just bigger. My toy is a new car. My toy is a new outfit. But what does that come from? It comes from culture. They're hearing their favorite rapper rapping about certain brands, and these brands want the rappers to rap about their brands. That's why Gucci and Louis became so popular in the Black community, because the rappers, the preachers, that's what they are. They're the hip hop preachers. The hip hop preachers are preaching about Gucci and Louis and all these other brands. So again, because the economic immaturity is there, we're going out and we're buying these brands the same way a 5-year-old will go buy toys. And that's what we do with our last dollar. Now, here's the thing. There's nothing wrong with owning these brands, right? Make this clear. Like, listen to me when I say this. Nothing wrong with buying a nice pair of red bottoms, ladies, if that's what you like, or fellas, if you want a cool pair of Jordans. I could go over in the corner and show you a pair of Air Jordans that I own. I know the CEO of Air Jordan, the Air Jordan brand. I think he resigned, though, Larry Miller. But so I don't have anything against you. I don't want to shame you for enjoying your money, because I don't want you to shame me. The idea is to think of it like food. With food, there's nothing wrong with eating chocolate cake. Chocolate cake should not be illegal. The problem is when you have your whole meal and your whole meal is nothing but chocolate cake. Right? That's the problem. The problem is when you eat your dessert before you eat your vegetables, or if you eat the dessert and you're so full that you can't eat vegetables because you wasted your whole stomach capacity eating nonsense, right? So a lot of times our problem is not that we like nice stuff. You know, there's nothing against going, or nothing inherently evil about going and enjoying a Popeye's chicken sandwich, except for, you know, the fact that it's probably not the healthiest thing to eat, right? But if that's what you do, that's what you do. In fact, I'm a big believer in enjoying your life, right? The difference is, all I'm asking you to do is just show some balance. Just, you know, don't waste more money than you invest. Don't give more money to white folks than you give to your own family and your own future, right? And if you maintain that balance, then not only will you be financially secure, there's a very good chance that you'll become rich. If you are a person who, at the age of, say, 25, some of you are older than 25. Doesn't mean it's too late for you. I'm just saying, I just want to use this hypothetically. If you're 25 and you just start investing consistently to the point where you just simply say, okay, any money that I spend on nonsense, I'm going to invest an equivalent amount. I'm going to give myself, not wait for the white man to give this to me. I'm not waiting to get a job where I get a 401k and they give me a matching funds program. I don't need their permission to become an investor. I don't need their permission to build my future, right? Let's say you can't even get the job, or you get a different kind of job and they don't have a 401k program. I'm going to create for myself a matching funds program. Matching funds means that every dollar I blow on BS, I'm going to put that money in. I'm going to put the same amount into my portfolio, right? So I'm sitting there at McDonald's. They tell me that my order is $12.14. Well, I'm going to get on my Cash App, my Robinhood, my Stash, or my Acorns, and I'm going to buy $12 and whatever cents of stock right then. Boom. Maybe I buy fractional shares. Miss Majesty's asking about fractional shares. Fractional shares is like buying a piece of a share. That's wonderful. There's nothing that's just as good as buying actual shares. It's just the same thing. They just taken it. They just made it easier to invest. Fractional shares democratizes investing. These apps, it democratizes investing. So any myths that you had that you have to be rich, or that you have to go to Harvard, or you have to have an MBA, or you got to get a finance degree to become an investor, is nonsense. That is just not true. So if you do that, if a person did that at say 25 and did that consistently till they were 45, then by the time they're 45, they would have no financial problems at all. They would not be sitting in the struggle, sitting there stuck. They would not feel like a victim. They would look at their portfolio balance and realize they have $186,492.14. And so coming up with $3,000 to get the car fixed is not a big deal. You see, and now if you're really smart though, you'll do that for your children. If you're smart, if you have a child, you should be buying stock for that child on autopilot. You should set your app to every week buy a certain number of shares or a certain amount of stock every week for that child and set it and forget it. That is a beautiful way to become a millionaire. That is what you are becoming at that point, what David Bach refers to as the automatic millionaire. The automatic millionaire is, and 100,000 people do this probably every year. And tens of thousands of people become millionaires every year, just like this. They set a certain amount they're investing every week or every month, and they set it, and then they go think about something else. And then every year they check their portfolio and they realize they have more money, and then they just keep going. They don't touch it. The money just grows and grows and grows. Compound interest jumps on top of compound interest, and then you start to get what I call financial momentum, where your money, it's in mathematics, it's what they call a convex curve. Convexity is almost like an example might be if you're pushing a car down a hill. At first, it's really, really hard to move the car, but the more you push it, the faster it goes. And eventually the momentum, when gravity takes over, that sucker will be just, whoo, you can't stop that car, right? That's why it looks like some people have an easy time getting money. Some people have a hard time getting started because they never got started. They think about this, right? If you want to know the key to being broke, the key to being broke is number one, grow up. If you want your children to be just destitute and you want them to get a Democrat in the White House and they think that's going to change their life or whatever, or they're going to church and praying for things that are never going to happen. If you ever want your child to be broke, here's what you do. Don't teach them anything about investing. Don't teach them anything about ownership of real estate. Don't teach them anything about how to start a business. Make sure they're 100% dependent on a white man's job. Like if you want your child to be a slave, that's what you do. You only teach them how to be dependent on a white man's job. You never teach them how to save or invest or anything like that. You never teach them the importance of ownership of property. Then also what you do is you flood their ears with a lot of these really bad messages in music that really speak to a tremendous amount of financial irresponsibility. Like all you do is you just play music that's constantly telling them to go buy a Gucci, buy a Louis, and then in your spare time go get 3, 4, 5 girls pregnant too, and so you now are a broke baby daddy. Now you got kids to take care of and no way to take care of those kids, right? Which is going to cause a lot of depression, a lot of sadness, and then by the time they're 27, 28 years old, they're going to feel hopeless. They're going to feel like, gosh, I got all these kids. I can't take care of these kids. I can't get a job. Every time I get a job, they don't pay me enough money. They're not going to, they're never going to give these opportunities to a black man. And then that feeds right into the whole woe is me, I'm a sad black man narrative, right? But what you do is you got to look at the terrain and say, how do I protect my son from these things? Well, if you show your son all the different ways to make money, like where he's literally a financial version of a Swiss Army knife. The Swiss Army knife is where you have a whole bunch of different little things, little gadgets and stuff like that. If he's like a Swiss Army knife of financial possibility, meaning that he knows a million different ways to make money, then the chances of him being broke are much lower than they were before. Also, if he knows basic financial values like investing and ownership, and that's more important than actually spending and giving your money away, then you're going to have more money. I mean, a simple reality is that the less money you give away, the more money you'll have. That's not complex. You don't need a PhD to understand that. So just focus on, pay attention to what's going on with the value system. People teach you how to be broke at an early age. And then adults just think it happened by accident. It didn't happen by accident. This was all by design. By the way, I want to mention to you guys, I think I mentioned to you all on financialjuneteenth.tv.com every Monday night at 8 o'clock. We do Life's a Pitch, where students from the Black Business School do 90-second pitches of their businesses, and the audience gives them feedback. Some of the audience also goes and supports the business, things like that. And also we give them feedback on how to make their business better. That's a show that I created with Lene Javette. It's every Monday night at 8 o'clock on financialjuneteentv.com. So feel free to join there. If you want to start a business and you want to learn more about entrepreneurship or anything like that, entrepreneurship is the third class in our Black Money sequence. We have Black Money 101 through 106. 101 is an introduction to the power of money. 102 is how to invest in the stock market. 103 is how to start a strong Black business. So if you'd like to learn to start a business, feel free to go to blackmoney103.com, or you can go to, or if you want to invest in the stock market, you can go to blackmoney102.com. Use the code word if you want a discount. The code is Dr. Boyce. It's one word, Dr. Boyce. Just type in Dr. Boyce. It'll take 20% off anything that you sign up for in the Black Business School. So keep that code nearby in case you want to sign up for a class or anything like that. We have a 30-day, 100% money back guarantee if you're unhappy for any reason. So there's no risk to you whatsoever. We have no problem giving you a refund if you didn't get what you expected or if you'd like something different. Our number one goal is to make you happy. I'm sure when you went to college, they didn't give money back refunds, but we do that. And because we have a lot of confidence in what we offer. All right, so let's see here. Let's see. Zolio says, say you buy a share at a certain price and you make it a profit. Is it advisable to take the profit portion and invest in another share? Well, money in one stock and that stock does well. Don't think the stock's going to keep doing well just because it did well in the past. That's a big mistake a lot of people make. So your next step should be to protect yourself, which is through diversification. So one thing you might do is if your stocks are, if the few stocks, let's say you own 4 stocks and they do really well. Well, some people might sell some of that and spread it out, right? Buy some other assets so that your money's spread out as opposed to having all your money in one place. That's a good way to go broke. Having all your money in 1 or 2 stocks is a great way to lose everything. So just be smart. Let's see. Courtney says, by the way, if you're inside the Zoom and you have a question, put your question in the Q&A section, and I will answer it in the Q&A section. If you put in the chat, I may not see it. Courtney says, do you have a new letter program that individuals can subscribe to that will talk about what stocks to purchase? Oh, newsletter program. Yeah, I do something called What Dr. Boyce is Buying, and that actually comes for free. If you want to buy it on your own, you can. I mean, there's a fee for that, but actually we bundle that with the Black Stock Market Program. So if you go to theblackstockmarketprogram.com, THE, that's theblackstockmarketprogram.com, you can actually get free access to what Dr. Boyce is buying. So what I do is at least once a week, I do a video about the insights that I have on certain stocks, stocks that I'm adding to my own portfolio. And so, everything isn't perfect all the time, but if it doesn't work out for you, it's not going to work out for me either, right? So we're going to go in this together. And so I do invest in the things that I mentioned. So it's not officially investment advice, but it's really me saying, this is what I'm buying. Feel free to take a look. And if that is something that inspires you, you can consider that as well. One of the stocks that we recommended, actually, Bed Bath & Beyond, that sucker has blown up. I think that stock's gone up 120% in the last month. I was really stunned. I looked at it this morning. I said, holy crap, I should have bought more of that. But yeah, what happens is that, if you do your research and you know which analysts to kind of pay attention to and all that stuff, right now is an easy way to make a lot of money in the stock market because the market has a lot of what we might call asymmetry. Asymmetry means it's off balance right now. It's like the economic recovery isn't affecting everybody equally. So there are some companies that are just, blowing it out of the water really fast. And then some companies that are a little bit sluggish. And both of those situations provide opportunities. Like the companies that shot out of the gate, the big juggernauts, reflected what they call a flight to quality. So Apple, the FANG stocks, Apple, Facebook, Apple, Netflix, Google, and Alphabet, these companies scared to death. It's like when the Titanic is sinking and everybody's trying to go for the lifeboats. These companies were the big, strong lifeboats on a sinking ship. The entire economy is the ship, and it's sinking. And there are these lifeboats in the water. Everybody was swimming to the lifeboats. So that's why all the FANG stocks, the tech stocks took off, the stay-at-home stocks took off. There were people that made more money during COVID than they made before COVID. Let's just be clear. There are businesses. This is the crazy thing about the stimulus package and all that. There were businesses that were almost dead before COVID. Dead. You hear me when I say almost dead? and these businesses prospered because of the PPP loans. That actually infuriates me, because I also read another study that says 75% of the bars in New York City are going to go bankrupt. 75%. And I'm sitting there thinking, wait a minute. So 75% of the bars are going to go bankrupt, but you got businesses that were zombie companies that were literally, had their foot in the grave. They were in the not even a nursing home, a hospice. And these companies got millions of dollars in funding that saved them and allowed their executives to keep making money for a few more months before the company folds inevitably. And you've got strong businesses that were doing really well before COVID that now are gone and dead. I think that's criminal. I think that's terrible. That's one of the things. If I'm maddest about the Trump administration, honestly, I don't get caught up in as many of the social issues in terms of, like, I don't have these fears. Like a lot of people have, like a lot of us really move based on fear. I don't have fears that, that a Proud Boy is going to come and beat me up. That doesn't, that stuff I just haven't, that's, I don't know. But I do have a concern about the way the pandemic was used as a way for wealthy people to make their friends wealthier. That I can assure you occurred. Those with wealth and power used the pandemic as an opportunity to freeze the world so they could accumulate more wealth and power. China did it almost masterfully. I mean, there's a reason why China's economy recovered before everybody else's. It's because China, basically, they were like, they were the originators of the pandemic. Whether it's deliberate or not, I'll leave that up to you to decide. Any possibility is possible. But then they were the first ones to recover from it and the first ones to go out and make money from it. And they were making major geopolitical moves as a result of it. Like, they were kind of like, okay, while the rest of the world is sleeping or frozen in fear, that's when we're going to secure power for China. And that's how things are done historically. Typically, like the Great Depression, it was a massive wealth transfer. There were people who made their fortunes. The Kennedy family made most of their fortune during the Great Depression. So don't think that a time like now is when everybody's losing. Everybody's not losing. Some people are winning. And what you want to do is be a critical strategic thinker so that you can win in the midst of any sort of situation. Okay, so let's see. Give me a second here. All right. Okay, yeah, the Black Stock Market Program is theblackstockmarketprogram.com. THE, that's theblackstockmarketprogram.com. Is there going to be a 50% sale on the options masterclass? Sometimes we do what we call 48 for 48 sales. We are going to do some discounts for Black Friday. So if money's tight, you can wait till Black Friday. So we'll email you and let you know. Make sure that you're on the email list and stuff like that. So that, if you get emails from me, if I'm in your inbox, we'll notify you when that happens. What do you think of analysts saying Disney will reach Netflix stock price if they focus more on streaming? Disney is one of my favorite companies in the world. I just love the way I love their management. I think that they just do such a great job. I just really, I don't know. But here's the thing. Here's the thing that I am kind of not sure about with Disney. I think Disney, it just seems to me like they just got so kicked in the butt from COVID. I mean, a bulk of their revenue came from, theme parks and movie theaters. And so they released these movies in these theaters, and the movies would be $1 million a week, right? Or whatever amount of money they make per year. And then suddenly all that stops, right? So Disney, because they're so smart, they're able to pivot really, really well and adjust as well as anybody could adjust. But there's only so much pivoting you can do when the whole world closes in on you. So Disney has leaned towards streaming. I know they released the movie Mulan on the Disney Plus, and they charge people, I think, $30 to watch the movie, which I thought was kind of crazy. That's a lot of money to spend for a new release, but I'm sure people spent it. And now they're really going in that direction. So part of me is intrigued by that. I'm a big believer that digital is a great way to scale, efficiently. Like when we started the Black Business School, we knew that it would cost way too much money to build brick and mortar schools all over the country. Like that would be really difficult. So what we did was we said, okay, let's just use technology. Let's use that to get started so we can reach people all over the world. And it worked. We have 127,000 students, and we generate enough revenue now where we're able to make movies, and we are going to buy some physical spaces pretty soon. After COVID's over, we're going to look into getting some property in different places. Like, yeah, for some reason, I'm really intrigued with Gary, Indiana. I like Gary because Gary is it's a black community with a lot of potential, a lot of property that wouldn't cost a ton of money, and I would just love to have a school in Gary. But once I build a school in Gary, I want to build them, all over the United States and maybe some across the world. But I'll talk about that later. So I think that this streaming thing, I think Disney's going to be a major player, and Disney's doing a better job of packaging things. Like before, it was like, okay, you got Disney Plus, and you're showing like, you're basically taking all your assets that you own, like Star Wars and all your Disney movies, and that's what you're showing. So, but what it does is it really narrows your niche a little bit too much. Like you can't be Netflix if all you're doing is showing Snow White and Star Wars. But now I noticed they're blending in like their ESPN properties. They own a lot of other content like television based stuff. I don't know. I can't remember if it was who. There's other stuff where I was like, okay, this really is intriguing now. So and then if they get to the point where they do what a lot of their activist investors are telling them to do, which is to take, I think one of their activist investors said, don't pay a dividend, take that money and invest, take that money and invest in content, right? And I think that move could be huge for Disney. I think that could put them in a realm where they could try to compete with Netflix, but I don't even think they have to compete with Netflix because I think they can coexist with Netflix. Before it was Netflix versus Disney, but that was more of a scarcity mindset. I believe that we live in a world where people subscribe to 4 or 5 different services. I don't know how many of you guys do that. A lot of people, subscribe to Netflix, Disney Plus. I think I have Netflix, Disney Plus, Hulu, and then we got a bunch of other little tiny niche channels like Alicia loves this channel called the Gaia channel, which talks about a lot of spirituality type stuff. Like she's really into metaphysics and the subconscious mind and things like that. And I subscribe to something called Curiosity Stream, which is like something for scientific. We're a couple of nerds. Like we met in the library. Like if you're a nerd, go meet people in the library. Don't be a nerd and go meet somebody in the club. Then you're gonna be stressed out. Unless you get really lucky. But I met her in the library because that was our nightclub. We didn't go to clubs in college. We went to the library. So anyway, those are my thoughts on Disney. I think Disney can compete. I'm a big holder of Disney stock. What I did with Disney was I didn't just buy shares, but I also did what we taught in the options class called a stock replication strategy, where you can buy specific types of stock options that are deep in the money and get the same effect that you would with the stock. The difference is that you don't have to commit as much capital. So like with Bed Bath & Beyond, that's what I did. And that sucker, I mean, I think that investment in Bed Bath & Beyond made 1,000% or something ridiculous. So so long story short, there's ways to do that. How do I get info on Black business life insurance? I use a company called theblackinsurancenetwork.com, THE, that's theblackinsurancenetwork.com. A lady named Yolanda runs that, and she is really nice. And if you tell her that you're my friend, all of you are my friends, by the way. We're a bunch of misfits who get together and do stuff that other people don't do, like talk about financial stuff on a Tuesday morning. So just tell her that we're friends. And she will take very good care of you. By the way, I wanted to remind you guys, the Black Financial Channel has an Instagram page, and I put regular financial updates on the Instagram page for the Black Financial Channel, as well as the YouTube channel. So follow the Black Financial Channel on Instagram. Also, go to theblackfinancialchannel.com. That's where the YouTube channel is. It's really beneficial if you want to keep up with what's going on with markets and everything else. And I like to believe that that there are insights that I think that I have on the channel that a lot of people may not have, because you just see things, when you've kind of done what I do for a long time. Let's see here. Okay, next, let me look at another question here. Okay, do you think that there can be a Black version of Disney? Yeah, I think there can be. We put our movies on something called Kweli TV, KWELI. Kweli TV is KWELI, which I think everybody should subscribe. they have black movies, and I love Quele. It was started by a young black woman, and I met this young sister, and I was so impressed with her. She was so smart and so nice. I don't have her name in my brain, but I remember having a very good impression of her. And so we subscribed to Quele, but then we also happened to meet Quele. And here's the thing, right? So we've made some movies, quite a few, and we're gonna make some more. And we have a series called the Black Love Blueprint. We've done a part 1 and a part 2. We have Resurrecting Black Wall Street, and we also have some other stuff. And I didn't want to put our movies on like Netflix or whatever. That just didn't mean anything to me. But when I saw Quele, I said, okay, this is awesome. This is kind of like the Black Netflix. So we put our movies on Quele, and we were super excited. Like our movies did really well. Out of 800 movies, we were like ranked number 4 or something. You know, I don't think we can pass up Tariq Nasheed's Hidden Colors. I think Hidden Colors was out there at the top, and that's fine. I give him that respect. I let him have that. But we were just proud to be kind of in that space. And the thing is that Black people have no shortage of talent. We have no shortage of talent. We got the talent. Like we have everything we need. We have it right here in our community. What we are working to develop, which we need to keep working on, is distribution. That's what white folks have that we don't, that we have to develop, which is the distribution, the ability to monetize, which also increases your ability to build capital. So when I spoke with Push Black about developing further into Black filmmaking, and I mean, I'm talking making like really like strong movies. I'm talking like $1 million film that the whole community supports. So the movie, you know, you invest $1 million, if the movie makes $5 million, you can flip, go right back and now you make a $2 million movie, right? And I call them Blackbusters, not blockbusters, Blackbusters. What we spoke on was, I said, you know, I think we're getting closer in that evolution because now we have that ability to raise capital. Like we're seeing projects where people are raising millions of dollars from grassroots, you know, hardworking, like folks that just believe in building the community, right? So like Julian Gordon has a group of investors out in Baton Rouge. Julian's our dean of our real estate school in the Black Business School. Julian raised $3.2 million, and he's buying property with a group of Black investors in Baton Rouge. So the investors are going to make money, and it comes from an awareness. It comes from awareness followed by action. Awareness means, yeah, I should buy Black. I should invest Black. Action means that when you get the money and you make a move, you're like, okay, I'm making the Black move, right? But also you have to develop trust and things like that. But that, like you can't just trust Black business owners when they're perfect. You have to learn how to trust the Black community when things are not perfect, right? Or when you run into a Black-owned business that sucks, you can't just say, well, I'm never going to go to a Black-owned business again. You have to trust that there are other Black-owned businesses that are good. Just like dating, you know, like it's like, imagine somebody dated a Black woman and she was a piece of crap. And then he's like, well, that's why I don't date Black women. I don't date Black women because they this, and this. But it's like, no, you got to trust that, you know, okay, maybe the first woman that you met wasn't any good. Maybe the second woman you met wasn't a good fit. But that the third, fourth, or fifth woman could be the one for you, right? So that trust is something that it tends to come from people that are kind of more convicted, sturdier, clearer in their objective, and clearer in terms of who they are. So because I'm Black, like there's no number of crazy Black women I could meet, because I've met some crazy ones. I've met some pretty hostile people. There's no number of crazy Black women I could meet that would convince me that I should not marry a Black woman, right? You know, every person I've met that's been bad or harmful is, to me, they're the exception to the rule. The rule is Black women are awesome, so I just gotta go find an awesome woman who's for me, which I did, right? I found one, right? You know, so I think that the same thing is true when it comes to business. And because business and love are very similar, it's a very similar kind of thing. It requires trust, it requires commitment, it requires you know, some degree of sacrifice and discipline, right? We have to invest in each other, right? So what I try to do, the reason I talk a lot, like you guys probably wonder, I don't know if you guys have ever thought this or not, but people have said it, and I've been like, yeah, you're right. They'll be like, God, Boyce he's always on the internet. He's always talking. He just does so many videos. What is wrong with this guy? Well, the reason I do a lot of videos is because I want to connect with you. I want you to know who I am. I want you to know what I'm thinking. I want you to know what I'm all about, because that's how we build trust. Because I trust me. I know what I'm trying to do. I know that what I'm going to do. You know, I have tremendous faith in what we're doing. I have tremendous faith it's going to work. I want to talk to you enough to where you'll say, yeah, I've seen 8,000 videos from this guy. So I think that what he's saying might actually make sense, right? You build trust like through communication, through sharing, through reciprocity, right? I love it when I meet you guys and I'm out and about and I meet you and you say, you changed my life, or you got me to invest, or I'm doing this with my kids that I wasn't doing, until I saw your video on such and such, because that's how we build trust. Like, I'm investing in you. And so because I'm hoping that, like, when I come back and I say, okay, guys, we need to raise $1 million. Like, are y'all in? Right? I would love for you to be able to say, yes, I'm in. I want to invest in this because I know this guy is legit in terms of what he's trying to do. Not, he ain't perfect. Sometimes he's an asshole. Maybe he cusses too much. Maybe his politics are bad. I don't know. But I know that this guy is at least trying to do the right thing. Right. So that's what that looks like. That's how you build an economy. I spent 1,000 hours, 10,000 hours thinking about what it takes to build closed economies. And building an economy comes down to what I call the 3 C's. The 3 C's. Pay attention now. You can take notes if you want, because this is scientific game that I'm breaking down to you. I don't think you're going to hear this anywhere. I know you're not going to hear this anywhere else, because this is a model I put together. This is not something that is in any textbook anywhere, but I'm a PhD. That's what we do. We write the textbooks. The 3 C's are to build a market. You need a market for capital. You need a market for contractors. You need a market for customers. Capital, contractors, customers. Each market is like a seesaw, where on a seesaw, you got to have somebody on each side of the seesaw. Like you can't have a fat kid on one side of the seesaw and a skinny kid on the other. It ain't gonna work, right? Or you can't have a person on the seesaw. Have you ever remember when you were little and nobody was at the park for you to play with? So you tried to get on the seesaw by yourself? I don't know if anybody else ever did that. I remember doing that. And it sucks. You're mad because you don't have that balance, that other person to tango with that's gonna make it a fun experience. Well, Black people have that problem when it comes to building our economy, because we have imbalanced seesaws. So let me explain what I mean by that. So remember, let's go back to what I said before. The market for capital, the market for contractors, and the market for customers. Let's start with the capital market. What is the capital market? A capital market is where you're basically bringing together investors with people that need capital, right? I got a business. I need a loan for my business. I'm an investor. I need a place to put my money. So they get together, they make sweet love, right? Next thing you know, a baby's born. The baby is the business. The business now has what it needs. The business is now fertilized. The business is now going to has a greater chance of being successful because you bought the capital together. Black people have an imbalance in that market because we have a far greater frequency of people who need capital than we have of people who are putting capital up. Right. So that's why it was so important for me to continuously talk to you guys. I mean, almost like a preacher, because I am preaching on, every single day of the week. But to basically explain why you benefit by being an investor, why, Black empowerment means not just taking on the side of the person who needs help, but also taking on the role of the person that can provide the help. Right? Like so many of us are raised to look for a savior, but we can save ourselves. Right? We're looking for Superman, but you are Superman. Right? You can be Superman and need Superman at the same time. Right? We've got Supermen and Superwomen in our community that can step up and help each other. Right? So what does that mean? That means that building a capital market means something as basic as saying, I know you ain't got as much money as white people. Right. And I know that bothers you, right? That makes you feel like you're poor. But $1.3 trillion is a lot of money. You can do a lot of things with $1.3 trillion if you harness that power. Right. So how about we instead of waiting on white folks to write a reparations check, which I don't even know if that check's ever coming. I mean, I hope it does, but maybe it won't. Instead of waiting on white folks to write a check or begging politicians to take care of us, why don't we go to the kitty? Why don't we go to that 1.3 trillion, our capital market? So what topic level or on an individual level, it means, that those of us who have extra money, we think about what we want to do with that money. Like, right? Like I can spend my money, sure. We learned how to do that at birth, but I can also invest that money. I can stockpile that money and put that money toward assets that are eventually going to work for me, right? So that creates the mindset of investing. Investing is heavily psychological. My dissertation was written on investor psychology. So a person who doesn't have a mindset of an investor is eventually going to be broken, eventually going to be poor. I don't care how much money you give a person like that. If you give a person money and they don't think like an investor, they think like a spender, they're going to spend it all. It's going to all disappear. An investor is a person who simply is a person who plants seeds. They're like a farmer who plants seeds because they know that if they don't plant any seeds, they will not have a harvest. You cannot have a harvest without planting any seeds. The reason I know this, that many people are financially confused, is because they won't have a harvest and they won't understand why they don't have a harvest. They'll say, well, why do I not have a harvest? Or why is that Negro's harvest bigger than mine? Well, to understand what's happening now, you got to go back to the seed planting season and say, well, were you planting seeds that he was planting? It's like when our 10-year-old, when her grade in math dropped from an A to a B, and she was confused. I said, well, let's go back and let's look at how you were studying. Did you study for the test? Did you prepare? What were you doing to prepare? Because how much you spent preparing or how much energy you spent preparing is a direct connector to what results you got when you took the test, right? Cause and effect, right? Victims, people with a victim mentality don't understand cause and effect. They just think the whole world is mad at them or the whole world owes them something or that the whole world is always attacking them. And that language, that victim language is very consistent, very persistent. Like, oh, it's hard to be black. If you're black, you can't get a break. It ain't nothing going to work out for us because we black. Oh, every time we do something, they're going, right? Like that's not beneficial to you. So with the capital market, you need investors and you need people that need capital. We have the investors in our community. We just need the mindset of investors and the training necessary, which isn't very complex, just basic training on why investing matters and why that is a great way to fuel an economy. So the second market, we talked about the market for capital. Now, after the capital market, you got the market for contractors. All the market for contractors is a labor market. Again, remember I told you, the problem you have in the black community is a lack of balance. You have a seesaw where you don't have two kids on both sides of the seesaw. So with the labor market, answer this for me. Answer this question for me. In the black community, do we have more employers or more people looking for jobs? Which one do we have more? Do we have more employers or more employees in our community based on our culture, based on how we're raised and what we're taught? Which one do we have more of? Employers or employees? Of course, we have more employees. We know this, right? Most of us grew up in households where you got relatives. Now, remember, I want to link this to culture. Pay attention to how culture plays out in this. When you go to your family and you say, I got the job, everybody goes crazy. All your friends. If you say on Facebook, I saw a meme about it. I think it's 100% true. If you get on Facebook and say, oh my God, I just got the job or I got promoted to director of Negro affairs, at the big white racist company or whatever, you'll have 4,000 likes. like you'll have so many people that'll hit the like button. Congratulations, way to go, girl. Oh man, that's great. I'm so proud of you. Right? Like it's really like when you get that job or that promotion, people go ballistic. They go bananas. But when you start that business, a lot of people don't even pay attention. They don't want to support. They think you're away from a good job to. Right, you're gonna have family members that are gonna do an intervention, almost like you decide to start smoking crack or something. And here's the thing: not every culture is like that. If you look at the history of Jeff Bezos, for example, Jeff Bezos had a hell of a good job before he went and started Amazon. Jeff Bezos was making hundreds of thousands of dollars a year. I forgot what his position was. I want to say he made like $300,000 or $400,000 a year. And they were like, you're really smart. Like you have a really bright future in this company. Why would you throw all that away to go start this business, this pipe dream of a business? And Bezos wasn't balling out of control. This dude was sitting in they would have at the local bookstore, they would have like a little training on how to open your own bookstore. And he'd be sitting in this little training on how to open a bookstore, sitting next to librarians and stuff, and taking notes on how to sell books. I kid you not. And now Jeff Bezos probably makes about $10 million a day, right? Running Amazon. So culture plays a big part in imbalancing that seesaw on the labor market. It's not our fault completely, right? We come from a slave cultures, right? So we have to break out of that. So again, empowerment. Let's go back to empowerment. So you got the seesaw in the market for contractors. You've got a ton of employees, not many employers. we must rebalance the seesaw by building job creators. Like job creators is something that we need in our community. The same way, if your body is low on a certain nutrient, if your body's low on iron, you must focus on getting iron into the bloodstream. If it's low on vitamin D, you gotta focus on getting more vitamin D. Well, we need more vitamin E, E standing for employers, or vitamin J, which stands for job creators. We need to inject as much vitamin J into the bloodstream as we possibly can. It doesn't mean that you can't have people, out looking for jobs, right? You're always going to have people that are looking for jobs, but we've got enough of that. We have an oversupply of that, right? So when people say, well, Dr. Boyce, everybody ain't cut out to be an entrepreneur. Ain't nothing wrong with having a job. Why are you shaming people? Why are you shaming job seekers? We're not shaming any of that. We're just saying we've got enough of that. We got that now. We got the whole fill out a job application. We got the whole resume process completely down pat. We know that like the back of our hand. We know how to go on LinkedIn and connect with our professional friends that can help us find out where the jobs are. That's fine. Now we got to go to the other side and balance the seesaw so we can build an economy. So in this generation, our number one mandate, really for this whole century actually, is to get as many Black entrepreneurs as we possibly can. And so it's like an army. I see it when I visualize it as warfare. I visualize racial competition as war. And that's just maybe that's my own bias. I watch documentaries about warfare, strategy, and execution and production. How the United States won World War II by mass producing, more bullets and more guns and more ships and more planes than the Germans did. Like I pay attention to that, right? So what I want us to do as a community is I want us to manufacture and build factories of Black entrepreneurs, like young Black entrepreneurs. I want to produce as many of those as we produce young Black basketball players, young Black football players, and young Black rappers, right? We can keep producing rappers and football players. I don't care about that, but I want those rappers and football players to know how to start their own business. So if you are a football youth coach, then add an entrepreneurship aspect to what you're doing. These are young Black men that want to be leaders. When you're running a football team, these are the little kings. These aren't just average little boys. These are not the little wussy boys. These are the tough men. These are the alpha males. These are the guys that want to win championships. So all you got to do is take what you're already talking about when it comes to sports and just translate that to everything. Like the model, Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan makes more money now than he ever made playing basketball, and he made a lot of money playing basketball. He made $30 million a year playing basketball in the 1990s, right? He made more money in the 1990s playing in the Bulls in his last couple of years than a lot of players make right now 20 years later. So, but if you notice, the reason Michael Jordan is making more money now than he ever did is because Michael Jordan was just a winner at everything. Michael Jordan he wants to be a champion in everything he does, right? So I think that with these young boys especially, you want to really sort of tap into that championship spirit and say, we want to be winners and warriors and champions everywhere. So that means we're going to go into business and we are going to dominate. We're going to work together. We're going to read books like Powernomics, memorize those principles, and we're going to go out here and we're going to get together with our Black friends and we're going to create businesses that are going to go conquer the world, right? That's the mindset. Again, a lot of this is very psychological and spiritual. It's not just technical. It's not, I can teach you the nuts and bolts of running a business or the nuts and bolts of investing. But when you have that spiritual aspect, like what drives me, what has me sitting here in front of you right now is not my PhD. My PhD is not what has me sitting here talking to you right now. I could be in there watching Netflix. What has me sitting here talking to you right now is my emotion, my spirit, my determined, almost unstoppable desire to see Black people win. It is passion. Thank you for that word, Jesse. It is just, it's straight up raw passion. The same energy that it takes for you to go win a fight is the energy that I have right now. The same energy that you have when you go have some real good sex is the energy and passion I have right now when it comes to going out and doing what we got to do. So passion, people, that's what we need. And we must be passionate about our power. Passion and power will help you get your purpose. Passion, power leads to purpose. So keep that in mind. Let's go to the last piece here. Let's go to planning. That's another P. Let's see a lot of good P's in here. All right. So so this is our PPP loan, right? Our PPP plan, right? Passion, power, purpose, profit, all these things, right? Okay. So let's keep talking about building an economy, what that looks like. I just got a message from my executive producer. She's telling me we have a meeting. I forgot about the meeting. So we talk about building a closed economy for Black people. Well, you got the market for capital, which is where you get the funding that you need to get your ideas moving. And the liquidity and everything, right? That money's there. We got 1.3 trillion to work with. The market for contractors, which is a labor market. You need job creators so that you can hire the job seekers. Your children are going to be, I already know it. Anybody in who has kids, your kids are going to be the job creators in the next generation. The parents that are not here listening to things like this are going to be, their kids are going to be looking for jobs. So we're going to look out for them. We're going to take care of them. We're going to help them out. The third part of that market is the market for customers, right? That's where you know, things like buying black as a general rule, as a principle, almost like important, right? So that means that you've got two sides of that market, consumers and producers. Now, remember what I was telling you earlier, the problem for the black community is that your seesaw is off balance, right? You have far more laborers than you have job creators. You have far more people seeking capital than people investing capital, right? Well, if you look at that last seesaw, producers and consumers, which do we have more in the black community? Do we have more producers or do we have more consumers? Which one do we have more of when the seesaw is balanced? More consumers or producers? Thank you, Eric. We have far too many consumers. That at an early age, black consumption is not extraordinarily high just by happenstance. That is by design, it is by plan. You see, because for an economy to move, you need people that are going to buy whatever you're selling, right? So the corporations are like the dope dealers. The dope dealers can't make money if they don't have dope fiends. They don't want all the dope fiends to want to become dope dealers. Then there's nobody to sell the dope to. So they position you to be the dope fiends. Right. So we fiend for these consumer goods. We get hypnotized by the media. We watch more television. Black people watch more television than any other group of people. Watching lots of television reduces the abilities of your prefrontal cortex. Your prefrontal cortex is the front part of your brain that is responsible for logical, critical, rational thinking. So instead of having logical, critical, rational consumption and spending, you're engaged in emotional spending. And that is the key. Emotional subconscious spending is what marketers seek. They try to get you to buy because it just feels good or because it gives you your self-esteem or you're trying to get your status or whatever. It's really a lot like even when you talk about seducing somebody sexually, right? Like a man that's trying to go and you know what I'm talking about, ladies. Like you get this guy that wants to get with you and he's not good for you, but a lot of us like something that's not good for us, right? Just because it's not good for us don't mean it don't look good and feel good, right? So he's not really gonna try to get you to make a rational decision. He's not gonna call you and say, I want you to spend 3 days deciding if you want to sleep with me. No, he's gonna come to your house, play some romantic music, have a good time, wine as you want, right? In hopes that he can get you to make a decision that is not rational. He's okay with you. Some of these guys, you know, some people, I'm just telling you the truth, you know, they're okay with you making a decision that you're going to regret tomorrow, right? So the same way that a man might seduce a woman, you know, sometimes in an unethical way, well, a lot of corporations seduce you out of your money. They seduce you by basically understanding you, figuring out what you like, what you want. They figure out what your desires are, right? Like, okay, your desire is to feel pretty, or your desire is to feel powerful, or your desire is to feel, you know, happy or whatever, right? And they play into all that, and they have their little scientists. Like Sigmund Freud was one of the first ones. Sigmund Freud, the great psychologist, was one of the first ones they consulted with 100 years ago. And he basically showed them how to tap into the subconscious mind to get people to buy things without them even thinking about it. So their goal is to get you to not think. So Black people are ground zero in terms of who they target, because Black people we have the least amount of education because they keep our schools deliberately bad. We also watch the most television, which reduces our ability to engage in critical thinking because of the disruption of the prefrontal cortex, right? So Black people, and then also we're trying to earn our self-esteem. We're trying to fit in. We're trying to get, you know, white people to like us, right? When they study like who buys luxury items the most, like you ever notice how people who are broke are the first ones to want to go buy stuff they can't afford, and then people that actually have money are like, I'm not buying that. Why would I pay $800 for a purse? That's stupid, right? Well, because the wealthier people don't have anything to prove. They're like, you know what? I don't even want anybody. Anybody that's in this room that has money might understand what I'm talking about. Like when you get money, you don't really, if you get money and you're smart, you don't want everybody to know you got money. You will never hear about Boyce Watkins flossing and balling and stunting and trying to show everybody what's in my bank account, because I don't want that kind of heat. I don't want that kind of attention. None of that. Right? I don't do that. That's what little boys do with low self-esteem. I'm a grown-ass man. I don't need anybody to think that I'm a worthy human being. Like, I already know that, right? But one of the things that they found in studies is they said that poor people a lot of times will buy luxury items because having that luxury stuff on you, it builds your self-esteem, and it also makes people treat you better, right? Like, so if I wear the fancy suit and I'm driving the nice car, people will look at me in a certain way and give me something that I don't necessarily know how to get on my own, which is sort of this dignity, this self-esteem, right? Like, I am somebody. Look at what I'm wearing. Look at how I'm dressed. Look at whatever, right? And Black people are the most vulnerable for that because you're trying to fit in. You're trying to get into that integrationist stuff, right? So you want the world to like you. Right. So a lot of times when they did a video, Ebony Magazine did a video in the 1950s called How to Sell to the Negro. Go watch that video. It's called How to Sell to the Negro. In the video, they pretty much kind of said in so many words, like, Black people just want to fit in. They just want you to treat them with respect. And if you do that, then they'll buy anything from you so that you will like them. And in fact, actually, if you also study how people that sell luxury goods, like that $800 purse, how they sell their products, one of the things that they do in order to sell to you is they do what Whitley Gilbert, what happened on A Different World. Anybody remember the episode where Whitley went into the store to buy the watch for her daddy, and the lady acted like she didn't really want to talk, like, whatever, like, go away, right? Remember that episode? It was a real famous episode on A Different World. So what Whitley did was, because the lady acted like she didn't want to sell to her, is Whitley went to the store and maxed out her credit card, buying everything in the store to show this lady, like, hey, look, you think I can't afford this? Well, let me show you something, right? So you're teaching them a lesson by giving them all your money. You're going up to an idiot. You're going up to somebody who doesn't deserve your respect, somebody who doesn't like you, somebody who's a racist, and you're teaching them a lesson by giving them all your money. That's what Whitley did. And at the end of the episode, Whitley realized, like, no, this lady, I'm not going to give her nothing. So she went back and got a refund for everything that she bought, right? Well, that's one of the strategies to sell luxury products, actually, is they're told to, like, pretend like they just don't even really want to talk to you. Like, well, if you ain't got no money, then you shouldn't even be here, right? So people be like, no, I got money. No, here's my, look at my credit card. Here, no, take 10,000. No, I'll show you I got money, right? You don't want to get into that. That's why, again, as I told you guys, and I got to say this and I got to go, a lot of this is psychological. A lot of this is psychological. Self-esteem and all that stuff ain't got nothing to do with going to business school. This is all about loving yourself. This is about, understanding what your purpose is. It's about realizing you have nothing to prove to anybody. It's about building in the areas that matter to you the most. And that's what, if I can add value to your life, I think I can add value in these areas because I thought about these areas quite a bit. Okay. So I got to go to this meeting. I got to get out of here. I want to give you a couple of things to remember. Number one, All Black National Convention happens starting Friday. We got about 20 different guests. All the way from George C. Frazier to Nuri Muhammad, Tariq Nasheed, Vicky Dillard, Constance Carter, Jade Arundel, Rebecca Samuel, Jeff Lightsey Jr. Lots of amazing people coming through. If you'd like to be part of the convention, go to allblacknationalconvention.com. That's allblacknationalconvention.com. We're doing it virtually this year. Next year it'll be physical. It'll be in New York. But this year it starts Friday. So allblacknationalconvention.com. Also, if you want to go and join any program in the Black Business School, like, I don't know, the Powernomics Masterclass or anything like that, use the code Dr. Boyce, Dr. Boyce, one word, Dr. Boyce. You get 20% off. If you want to join the Powernomics Masterclass, you can go to powernomicsmasterclass.com, use the code Dr. Boyce, and you get 20% off. If you want to join the, the stock market investing program, that's 102. That's blackmoney102.com. That's the 102 class in our 101 through 106 sequence. So you can go to blackmoney102.com. Blackmoney103.com is blackmoney103, etc., which is entrepreneurship. So we got a lot of good programs there. Go take a look. And also don't forget, we give a money back guarantee on everything that we have in the Black Business School. So if you're not happy for any reason, we'll take care of you. We'll make sure that you're whole. I hope this conversation helped you. And I'm going to do this every Tuesday. So make sure that you are on an email list so I can email you whenever we're, going to do this. The email list, if you aren't on it yet, you can actually go get on the list and get a free e-copy of my book by going to allblackeconomics.com. That's allblackeconomics.com. All right, guys, I'm out of here. Have a good day. I will see you soon.